So am I going to be the first guest in the podcast?
You should definitely be my first guest on the podcast.
be.
If you sort out your audio.
Yeah.
I'm joking, you will. You will.
Should just make fun of my trauma.
I think.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. I am Sheen, your host, and today we're joined by Elizabeth. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hello, Sheen. Thanks for having me again.
Again, yes. As you know, we're in Dubai now. Liz is visiting, and us being good YouTubers, we are filming videos. So today we've got a very special one for you. I think it's going to be a Work Wednesday one.
I think it can be a Work Wednesday.
It can be a Work Wednesday one. So one thing that Liz and I have in common as well is that we've both moved away from our home country. You moved at 16?
I
18?
moved to England.
Yeah.
I was older. I was right before uni, so I was 22.
22?
Yes, I was 22.
Right, so Elizabeth moved at 22 to England, and I moved when I was 18 to uni, and now I've moved to Dubai, which is a bit more serious than moving to uni. So we're going to explore this.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a bunch of questions for Sheen.
Great.
Based on kind of my experience too,
Okay.
of like moving, so I would love to see her perspective. Because yeah, so you just packed your stuff and moved to Dubai on your own. How long ago was it? Like 8 weeks now?
Yeah, almost 2 months. I moved on the 16th of August on your birthday.
Oh yes.
And we're now what, the 10th of October? So almost.
Yeah, almost 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you just packed and moved to Dubai completely on your own.
Yes.
To live here completely on your own.
Yep.
Okay. So okay, I'll start with our first question.
Okay.
What was the balance of excitement versus fear
Okay.
of leaving your life behind and moving to a whole new country and a whole new place?
Good question. Okay, I think to answer this, the day I got my job offer, which I got very early on during the year, the day I got the offer, my first reaction was shit.
Like this?
Why did I do this? And I was like, oh no, because the first thought that came to my mind, I need to move. So first reaction was definitely fear, and then it was excitement and thinking I finally got this job that I wanted, and I went through all the different stages to get it, so it was excitement. And then with time, it became a lot of excitement. Everyone was like, oh, Dubai's so lit, like it's gonna be fun. And I started talking to people who are in Dubai, and everyone was like, oh, it will be the best decision you'll ever make, so just do it. And then when it comes to the practicality, the fear comes to settle in again.
So what were you scared about specifically?
Right, okay. So first thing is just the whole admin thing scares me a lot, because there's so much to sort out, right? You need to sort out a visa, you need to find a house, you need to pay your bills, you need to have a phone number, you need to have a bank account. Like all of this are things that...
Very adult things
that I've done like 8 years ago when I moved to the UK, and as a student everything is a lot more structured, you have more help to do everything, but now somehow people expect you to know how to do this because you're meant to be an adult, right? So this aspect really scares me, because I hate doing admin and I make a lot of mistakes usually when I make admin things, so that was one of the aspects. The second thing is obviously leaving the comfort zone for the unknown. Right, so that can be friends. So I'm leaving all of my friends behind. I don't know anyone in Dubai. Will I have friends when I move to Dubai or not? And then it's also the whole aspect of just day-to-day life. So I know how the UK works, but I don't know how Dubai works, even when it comes to the post, for example. But so that also really scared me. And I think just generally the how do you say it? Just picturing yourself there is something you can't do, because you haven't lived there. So then that's scary, that's unknown, and you're like, well, I'm just taking this leap of faith, hoping it will work out. So I think the balance between fear and excitement really changed. It fluctuated until I moved, and then when it got to the end of it, by the time of moving, it was I need to get this done now. So the excitement was on pause, and it was mostly fear and like this rush to like get things done and let's get settled.
Okay, I will ask you more on that.
Okay.
But let's start with going to a new place.
Okay.
So how did you feel about moving somewhere where you don't have anyone that you're very close to already? And were you worried about loneliness in moving somewhere new? Yeah, so a whole different country. So you are 7 hours, I think, from both places, from Mauritius. It's pretty much the same. Mine, so 6.5 to Mauritius. 7 hours to England.
UK.
That's the closest that you can physically get to. It sounds so sad.
She's really helping.
Are you okay? lonely you
Do you
really
know how far you
are?
are from everyone you know?
7 hours minimum. Okay, that's
Either way,
that's
it's
not-
7 hours.
That's awful. That's not how I meant it to be.
Yeah,
but that's maybe how you thought about it at the time. So thinking that, okay, I'm going to go to this place,
Yeah.
which is so far away from everyone,
Yeah.
and I don't know anyone yet. How was loneliness? Did you think of loneliness before?
I did.
What did you feel? What did you think? How did you think you were going to deal with it?
Right, so the thing is that it was a common theme when I talked to people who moved here. Everyone was like, oh, the first few months can be quite lonely. And I was like, great. I was like, this sounds wonderful. But I think what people were trying to say is don't expect immediately to have a happening social life because it takes time, and especially because you are so busy sorting out everything else, you don't necessarily have time to engage with other people. But I was lucky that my friend came with me, right?
Okay.
So then flying here the first few nights, I was not on my own. The first few weeks, I was not on my own. She was here with me. So then that meant that when I moved from the UK to here, there was no instant loneliness. There was still someone there. We did everything together. And then the actual fear of loneliness sunk in the day she left. So I came back to the flat and I was like, oh great, it's just me. And I was like, okay. But the good thing is in the meantime, I kind of reconnected with people around. So I felt like if I really needed to see somebody, I could message them and I could see them. So that's a good blanket feeling. But also, I knew that everyone who I left in the UK or in Mauritius, they were all still in touch with me, messaging. Like, you would message every day asking, what are you doing today? And a lot of people would just do that, making sure that, you know, I have someone to talk to. Because, you know, even now, like even you when you're in London, you don't see people every day, right? But you are in constant contact with people. And that kind of stayed the same, so that was fine. Okay. And then at work, I started meeting people. And to be honest, you're so busy in the start.
Definitely very busy.
In the starting few days, that you literally have no time to think about, did I see people today? Who have I met recently? And then during the weekend, because I work very long hours, so then during the weekend it's either filming or like sorting out, you know, life admin and getting these things done. And I always ended up seeing someone for brunch or dinner, so it was fine. Okay. But I do still think about it. Like, for example, now Hassan and Mina were here, you were here, they've left, you're leaving soon. So then I know I will feel it, like this constant being surrounded by people you're very comfortable with. So it's old relationships. But yeah, so
do you think you were too scared then? Did you overthink it before you came? And was it better than you expected? Okay, that's really good to hear.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, this is me in every aspect of life. I always over-exaggerate the fear. And I think in one way it's good, and in one way it's bad. It's good because it over-prepares you for things, and it's most of the time it's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. So that's good because that meant that I would actively try and, you know, make an effort to make friends and think about how to do this. But it's a bad thing because it worries you, right? And it just adds on to the list of stresses.
Okay, so still on people then.
Okay.
How did you feel about leaving people behind? So you, like you said, you've been living in England for 9 years now. So how did you feel about leaving all those friendships there and moving somewhere new?
It was hard. It was really hard. Like, especially at my leaving party, I met some people who I haven't seen in many years, but then it felt like a crushing sort of feeling to say bye to them. And I know that it's not the end of it. Like, for example, you came to visit, a lot of people are always messaging. So it's just like, you know, it's not the end of that friendship, but for some reason it just feels like you're leaving them behind and I'm just about to go. So it was really hard, and I still think it's hard because the nature of the relationship changes once you move away. And I think we've discussed this in the previous video as well, that, you know, your expectations change and you understand that life gets in the way and people grow separately. But at the end of the day, the memories are there and the relationship is there. And I'm a firm believer that people who actually care and matter just don't leave your life. Yeah. They still stay there, they'll find a way, we find a way, the friendship finds a way. So I was never worried about losing friends. It just made me sad that I won't be able to see them as often.
Okay, that's very cool, because sometimes I wonder if it's more the thought of having people around and having people there, even when you don't meet them, that's very comforting. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly when that option is taken away, then you're like, oh, I haven't actually seen this person in 2 years. I just moved countries. I really care about them. And what if I wanted to see them now? And it just feels very, I think, bizarre. But I agree with that people will stay in your life.
Oh yeah.
If they want to.
You're so right. It's like this. It feels like world ending when you're moving.
Yes.
You're like, I love this chocolate that I've never eaten in 3 years, but I need to buy it to take with me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like, but you don't want this.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of that kind of background safety blanket that you never realised that you had or you were relying on in any way actively, because you're not until that's taken away and you're like, oh no, I'm on my own and I'm kind of panicked and I don't know what to do. So that's definitely how I felt too. It's kind of like, oh no, this is so unfamiliar and all these things are gone. And when people ask you specifically, when they really press you and they're like, well, when did you see this last person? This person last time, I don't know, 2 years ago. It doesn't matter. Like I still
I need them there. I just need to know I can reach them.
Exactly. Okay, good. So my next question is, you moved into a whole different environment, and I've seen Dubai, and it's very, very, very different to kind of England and Cambridge. So how do you manage to stay true to yourself, or do you feel like you changed when you came here, and did you have a desire to feel like Sheen and with Sheen's old routines, and how did you manage that, or is that not a thing?
Oh no, this is a very good question. I think one thing I miss absolutely is walking. As you've seen, you can't walk anywhere in Dubai.
You used to walk a lot.
I used to walk a lot. I never took public transport. I just walked long distances, and I loved it. Whether it's cold or sunny, I loved walking. Here, you can't walk anywhere. If you look at Google Map, it says from point A to point B. It's about 9 minutes drive, but it's 2 hours walk. You're like, how does this make sense? It's because they just have massive motorways, so you just need to go around everything. So you can't walk anywhere, and it's flipping hot. So you melt. Yes. So you can't walk. So that's one thing that I struggled with, especially with lockdown. I got into the habit of going out and walking every day. So initially I struggled with that. So sometimes I would just literally walk downstairs and stand outside of the building just to get like some sort of outside oxygen, because here everything is air conditioned as well. So that was one big struggle. And then to think about how to find myself, especially when you move, you just get dragged into things. You feel like life is going past you. So there's training first week, second week I was on a short project, suddenly I'm on a long ass project, and you're just working and working and working, especially my weeks, I work 12 hours a day, and you're like, okay, the day's gone and now it's nighttime, what do I do? Oh, I need to sort out my laundry, I need to do this and that, and then it's suddenly weekend and you're like, oh gosh, I'm too tired to do anything. So then I was feeling like life is going past me, and you feel like you're not doing anything intentionally, and I struggle with that a lot. So then I decided, no. I do this thing, I think we've spoken about this before, this revenge thing of staying up at night. Yes. I do that. We did that last night. Yes. We have a problem. We are always we're really tired, let's get into bed, we're going to put a movie on so that we fall asleep. What time do you go to at 5 a.m.? At 5 a.m.?
Yeah, around 5 a.m.
I kept telling you, put your phone away. But so I think I started doing this thing, but I know it might not be good in the long term, but I think in the short term it's really making me feel like I have full possession of this time, and I can decide what to do, whether it is sitting and doing nothing, scrolling through Instagram, but this is my me time, and this helps me slow down, and I'm like, okay, I am in control, I made this decision. Sure, I can't control my work, but I made the decision of doing this job. I get to do this job. And it's all of this thing of making sure that I just slow down my day at some point. But it's hard.
So it sounds like you were reframing then.
Yeah.
So in the beginning you were doing all the things that you had to do here, and you felt very overwhelmed, and then you realised, oh, I get to do this. So it's just reframing that situation.
Absolutely.
And making the most of the small minutes, and just I'm on my Instagram because I can't do that. Okay, that's good.
Any advice on that?
On finding yourself.
Yeah, recentering yourself. Yeah.
I think you're gonna make fun of me, but I do like to meditate on this, because I do think it does help me.
Why is everyone and their mother meditating these days?
I do think it helps me because, like you said, there's this rush, and you don't recognize yourself. You're sitting at a new table to eat, and you're sleeping in a new bed, and you're in a new city, and the weather is different, and everyone around you is new, and there's nothing that feels familiar and on your own, especially when you do these things by yourself. And especially when you fall into a new routine, then you feel so kind of controlled by the situation that you created, but is out of your control because you have to do these things. And I think before you get used to that and think that this is my life, it feels for kind of a temporary time as though I don't know what's going on right now, and it feels very, very surreal. So I do like to meditate then and kind of rethink and just remember myself, because I tend to lose myself in those moments. So that's what I like to do, and it's the same thing. It is reframing and thinking that okay, it's still me. Like, I'm still here. I'm doing these things because I want to do these things. And I do know that it fades. Like I think we both moved a couple of times, and it's the same thing every time. And I just get used to it. Like, it's fine. I feel like now at least in me, you seem a lot more kind of centered and comfortable. And so it does take, I think, just a while.
It did take about 2 months.
That's a very specific time frame. So that's very helpful. Good. Okay. So one thing I'm very, very curious about, because I tend to massively overthink too, and I think we have this in common. And I think my overthinking when it comes to large decisions peaks the night before. The night before, that is the night that I am in utter shock, that I'm lying in bed and thinking, why did you do this, you idiots? You had no reason, you were fine. You were fine, your life was fine. Why did you mess things up? And why did you think you wanted this? You are not this sort of person, you are not this
Why do you think you can do this?
Why do you think you can do this? This is going to be such a huge failure, you are going to be so miserable, and you had something going here, why did you have to mess it up? So that's why, even coming here on this 2-week trip, I was overthinking that before, and I was like, oh my god, is this the right choice? And like, is this going to be weird? And like, what's going to happen? And I can't imagine how that felt for you. So what was the night before like?
That's a very interesting question. I had the weirdest time because I felt numb.
Okay.
So the whole week leading up to me leaving was stressful because we had like COVID scares, we had not knowing whether the flight was going to change, like getting the PCR test done, and then even my confirmation of my flight tickets and everything was done so late by the company. So it was all very stressful. So then when everything got sorted and I knew like in 2 days I'm leaving, suddenly it just felt completely numb. And I couldn't picture that in 2 days or in 24 hours I will be in a completely different place. So it just felt not real, and I was like, I will not be sleeping in this room again, and it didn't feel real. And then I remember telling everyone this when they were like, oh, how are you feeling? I was like, nothing. And it's surprising, right? And I think it's probably because at this point my brain gave up on worrying, and it was just like, oh, we'll figure it out. And everyone was like, once you're on the flight, I think it might become more real. At the moment, it's just too stressful about sorting out all the little steps. So the night before, I slept fine. I was like, I didn't think of anything. Woke up in the morning. Even when we left the flat, I still didn't feel anything different. Okay. We were leaving Cambridge, didn't feel anything different. Arrived at the airport, there was a massive kerfuffle because we couldn't check in. The flight was massively delayed. So again, just worrying about the admin stuff. But it's true, once the flight just got left, right, and we were in the air, it just sunk in immediately, and I was like, shit, I am doing this. I was like, that's it. I was like, I've left the UK now. And then it completely sunk in, and I was like, oh shit, this is scary. I was like, why did I decide to do this? I was like, who told me I can do this? And I was like, my overthinking way is to be like, okay, what's the exit strategy? What do I do
right now?
How do I choose? If I hate it, how do I change it? And then I remember telling my friend, she was like, you look like you're not okay. She was like, are you okay? I was like, I'm just thinking, what do I do if I don't like it? And she was like, are you serious? I was like, and she was like, okay, we're watching a movie now. So we shared a headphone and watched a movie. She was like, you need to get out of your head. Yeah, and it's true, you just need to get out of your head. So I didn't have the pre-night, okay. I had the during the flight.
During the flight, interesting. Okay. Okay. My next thing with this might be a personal one, so you don't have to answer it.
Okay.
But personally, when I moved to London, I remember I wasn't London, I moved to Cambridge.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first place I moved to England when I moved back. And I had a night alone. It was maybe a week after I came that I had a huge breakdown. I was crying for hours, and I hated it. I thought, I don't know, why did you think I hadn't found a job yet, and I was so nervous and so scary, and I didn't know how I was going to like make it basically. So I had a few months before university started, like 6 or 7 months, and I had to have a job because I didn't have money during that time. So it was a bit of a nightmare. So I just cried so much, and I remember having that huge breakdown that this was the worst choice ever.
Right.
Did you have that moment, or did you have memory in here? So I think
I did. Yeah. So I didn't have a big moment like that. No.
Okay.
So, but I did. Obviously, the first few weeks, because it felt so magical, right? We were doing touristy stuff, and I fell in love with Dubai, and I was like, I really like the place.
That's the smart.
And then when I started the job itself, it started getting very hectic for me, and I was like, oh my god, I signed up for this. And the good thing is, I was talking to my friend who also started the job at the same time as me, and he was like, I think I made the wrong decision. I was like, oh my god, I think the same thing. He was like, I was just ready to be partner here. Why am I doing like the starting level job? And I was like, I know. But anyway, it felt good to know that it wasn't just me having this. But then at the same time, as soon as it started to feel quite heavy on me, and then Hassan and Minna came.
Okay.
So then I got distracted, and then you came, and I got distracted again. So I think maybe after all the distraction is gone, it's going to hit me again.
Okay.
But I think at the same time, it's good that I'm getting more used to it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's diluting it.
Yes, that's good. So I think every time, like the lows will be not that low, and then you'll just get used to it, and this is normal.
Yeah.
And you'll be more comfortable and hopefully enjoying it.
Oh yeah.
And then, it won't hit anymore. Okay, that's good. That's good that you haven't had a major breakdown. I'm very glad you
Exactly.
did that. Okay, I just want to ask you on tips about making friends, because I feel like you are so good at making friends. I think it's one of your biggest strengths. You're super social. You're very good at making people feel comfortable around you. So, how have you found making friends in Dubai from scratch, and what are your top tips for that?
Well, clearly Elizabeth is a very good friend, given that I made a whole video about how I made friends in Dubai. she just doesn't know about the video. It will be in the link.
We watched the video together.
We did. But I think just to summarize that is just really reaching out to people you already know, making use of your friends who know other people, existing networks, and then using social media, reaching out, and just really kind of saying yes. So if people ask you, do you want to grab a coffee, or someone tells you, oh, I know this friend who's in Dubai, would you like me to introduce you? Just say yes all the time, because you never know who might stick. And that was helpful. And for me, like for example, with the new joiners, all the other people who started a job with me, just making an effort with them and really talking to them, learning about them, and I don't know, just making an effort. I don't know how to describe the making an effort, but because you can just work with someone without being friends with them,
Yeah.
But you can also make an effort to be friends with them.
No, it makes sense. It does make sense. It does make sense.
Yeah, so literally it's about a question of making an effort and making the other person feel like you genuinely care about them. And I think it takes time. Yeah. I think with new place, new country, it takes time to find the people that you like. You might meet a lot of people, but to find the people that you actually want to keep seeing and be friends with long term, it takes a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the end, after you've done this huge thing and uprooted yourself, and what is the main thing that you've learned about yourself from the move and from coming here?
I think one lesson that I have learned repeatedly in the past year is that I'm quite resilient.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a trait I wish on people. It just means that you just go through shit and you get out, but I'd rather not go through the shit. But I think, I've learned that I'm quite resilient, and that even if things don't go right, and I do worry about things, and even now, right, a lot of things are still getting sorted for me admin wise, and I do worry about these things, but just getting through it and understanding that not everything will be perfect, that was something I struggled with, because I like things to get done and I move on to the next thing without having loose ends. But now I'm getting more used to this, having loose ends, and being okay with it will take time for things to get sorted. So that's one thing I learned, and I learned how not to worry.
Okay. Did you?
I think so.
Did you know?
I'm in the process of learning how not to worry, because I think, when I say not to worry, it doesn't mean I don't worry about it, but it means it doesn't affect my day-to-day life. So for example, just knowing that some things are not sorted yet, it will get sorted. And like moving to a new place, recognizing that a lot of the things you can't prep or sort out before you move. It will have to be done once you're there. So you have to wait. You can't over plan everything. You have to go with the flow. So finding a house and all of that, I couldn't do that before coming, and that was scary because I didn't know what it would be like. But then coming here, you realize that, oh, everyone does this. Like, it's fine, it's normal. So it's that. It's like becoming a bit more flexible with my needs of having everything planned and sorted out. So that's one thing that I realized I can do. And the second one is that I am resilient. So if things are hard, just, eventually they'll go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, thank you. This is very, very. I love this deep dive because
I love this. Like, you're a very good interviewer.
Oh, thank you. That warms my heart. Guys, I've never interviewed anyone before.
That's sarcastic.
This is my first.
This warmed my heart.
I was being serious because I'm actually overthinking this so much. I haven't had a guest on my podcast yet because I'm scared of interviewing.
Well, you're going to be
this
great.
is my first interview ever. So thank you.
So am I going to be the first guest in the podcast?
You should definitely be my first
I
guest on the
should
podcast
be.
if you sort out your audio.
Yeah.
I'm joking. You will. You will.
Should just make fun of my trauma.
I think. But yeah, thank you for answering. I think this. Oh god, that face. But yeah, this was very, very insightful for me.
Yeah.
Because I love to hear what your experience was with this, and it's very cathartic to kind of hear it in detail. Someone else going through the same thing.
Yeah.
So thank you for answering all my very probing questions, very honestly.
Thank you, and thank you for coming on the channel, for asking the questions.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.
Bye.